all of that the generation before used to get because people used to go to church, but unfortunately they don't anymore. And then we bring in our kupuna, we bring in our elders, and the very few native speakers, we hardly have any anymore. Once in a while, we're very lucky to get a person from Ni'ihau to come to our classrooms. But even the elders that aren't fluent speakers, they still have lots to give and lots to share. And in your case, you still have elders who are native speakers. So please make them feel welcome in your room, in your classrooms, and outside of the classroom. Encourage them and really, really take good care of them because they are our treasures. We also make sure, as I mentioned, that the students and the teachers have a relationship to place, that they know the stories and the histories of their place, that they know the songs and the chants about their place, the proverbs about their places and the different expressions. We also have different wind and rain names. So for example here, the rain, I don't know if you remember when we first got in, or it's even now, that very fine rain, it's called the Ua Tuahine. It's the Tuahine rain. And so we also integrate technology. And so we created this program called Basic Hawaiian, and it's through an ANA grant. And it's basically, instead of going from lesson 1, lesson 2, you go visit, you start out with Auntie Aloha, you visit Auntie Aloha for 1 semester, and you learn everything that she knows about lei making, about cooking, and all in the language. Then you visit Uncle Ikaika, and as you can see, he's a surfer. He's the kind of really macho man, not really, but you learn about fishing and about sports and all those things. Then you go to Tutuma Lama, and she teaches hula, she teaches native plants and all of those kind of things. And then you go to Papa Pono, who is a Christian minister. He's also a farmer and a fisherman. So you learn from the people in this virtual, so these are called avatars, and you learn from these virtual people. When you finish the 4 semesters, you know about 1,000 Hawaiian words, you know over 50 proverbs, you know over 50 songs and chants, and you can speak Hawaiian with some effort and some mistakes. So it's not like you're totally fluent, but you can communicate basic things in the language. And so it's an interactive website that has this self-paced Hawaiian language program that also teaches our values and our culture and promotes conversational Hawaiian. And it's really, because the way we do it is you learn on the computer, then you meet with your little group, and so it's a very safe learning environment because you know everybody in your group. You don't worry about making shame. We call it in Pidgin. We don't want to make shame. And so you work first. First you learn on the computer with yourself until you feel good that you got it, kind of. Then you talk to your little group that you're familiar with, that you know, that you trust, and then your assessment is going out and teaching somebody else. And then you can go out and you talk to people you don't know. So it gets like really safe to less safe, less safe, less safe, rather than learning and then you gotta talk to somebody that you don't even know, which is very, very scary for many of us. And so this is what the website looks like, where again Auntie Aloha invites you in the first semester to come and join her and be with her the same way that we are sent to an uncle or an auntie or a grandma and a grandpa to learn from them. And so we also have an app so that you can practice vocabulary. And the other thing that we have on the app is pronouns. Because the mako, kako, lako, oko, and then olua, maua, kawa, all of those. That's very different from English. So a lot of people have a really hard time, and they'll say wahele mako, but supposed to be wahele kako. That kind of they mix those up because it doesn't exist in English. So we have on our app we have sentences like pehe oi, mai kai au. Wahele oi, wahele out. Wahele lako, ai, wahele lako. So you do this back and forth, questions and answers, changing the pronouns and practicing simple verbs. And so we've had a lot of very positive reviews about Basic Hawaiian, and I don't need to get into that right now. So now let's talk a little bit about assessment before my time is up. So right now they say there's 10,000 Hawaiian language speakers. But nobody knows what that means. Does that mean aloha pehe oi mai kai au mahalo and that's it? Is that like the way I speak Samoan? Like that's not really knowing the language. Right? I know a few words, I can understand something, but I can't say I speak Samoan. So we don't have a definition, we have nothing to measure how well we speak it, and we don't even know how many people are enrolled in high school and college courses. So this 10,000, somebody just pulled it out of their ear for all I know. We have no data that really substantiates that. So we figured, let's create a language scale. And so we created this scale, again, for Hawaiians, by Hawaiians, same thing always, builds on assets, not about deficit. So this is not testing what you don't know, which is pretty much what Western testing does. It tells you what you don't know. This is really about testing what you do know. It's based on traditional values. It aligns with the way we teach the language, and the reason I'm sharing it today is something that it might be something that you're interested in. I brought a poster, but with all this beautiful art up there, I'm really ashamed to put the poster up. But if you guys want to, we can find a place to put it up so you can look at the scale in detail. But basically, what it attempts to do is to quantify and recognize existing knowledge and provide a roadmap as to where you want to go and motivate the learner to continue studying. Because this is the instantaneous gratification generation, right? They want everything now. 5 minutes, that's too long already. They cannot wait. And language doesn't work that way. It takes years and years and years. And so this is really a way for them to see where they're going and see, yeah, I'm moving forward, I'm moving forward. So this is how we broke it down. We have 6 levels. 0, you don't really know anything. No here, simple basics. That's kind of where I'm at in Samoan. Progressing, they can start saying things. Still a lot of mistakes, a lot of effort. Mānoa is where our program is designed to get people to that place where you can hold a simple conversation, but you still have to try, and you still make some mistakes. And then you get to the pahe'e stage, where you can generally master the language and you can say anything you want to say, but you don't have that native fluency and proficiency, and you don't know how to do that double meaning kind of things and use proverbs and metaphors and all of that. That comes in number 5 all the way up. And so basically, we set up this scale, and these numbers, you can make the numbers anything you want. I mean, there was some scientific thinking about it, but we're not married to these numbers, but it's just so that you have some kind of an idea. Okay, you got 50 words, yay! You're at the Nohia level. Oh, look at you now, you got so many, like 500, oh, you're at the Lawan, and it doesn't matter what words they know, because they're not gonna know words like, I don't know, telephone pole, they're gonna know water, they're gonna know chair, they're gonna know table. I mean, you're gonna know common words, and it doesn't really matter so much what the words are, but they are words obviously that they should know. So we created these scales, and then as far as conversational, it goes from just being able to say talofa, malo, and that's about it. Or you can go to the little bit more, where you can say a few words, to the point where you have a greeting memorized, to the point where you can do it without having it memorized, and then really including place names and metaphors, and getting to some very elaborate greetings. In our case, it would be through chants. So that's how all of these work, and as I said, if we can find a place to put up that scale, we'll put it up somewhere up there, people can just look at it over the next 2 days. And the same for questions and answers and talk story. So going from the one word, or using lots of English words while you're saying it in Samoan, which is perfectly fine. In my house, I use sometimes 3 languages in one sentence, because my mom knows a lot of Hawaiian words, and I'm talking to my kids generally in Hawaiian. And then, then there's a word like microwave. I don't want to use that weird word that they made up, because none of us understand that. So then we would use multiple languages. And the point is, you're communicating. You will know what is Samoan and what is Hawaiian and what is English. I mean, but it's okay as you're learning to kind of use whatever language comes first, or whatever language you know. And so these are all the various, as I said, conversational components, and we have other components, how to do descriptions. so you can just look at something, oh, lele, you know, manai, or whatever, or then you can do very elaborate. So all the way from one word to a poetic description. Talk story, same thing, from one word, mostly memorized, all the way to very, very complex answers that have this double meaning in them. And so those kind of things, again, this is just a guideline. And if you folks want to use something like that to create your measurement of proficiency of the language, which should be strictly oral. So this is not a written test. This is just oral communication. You as the teacher, or you an elder or an expert, you know, that's a language speaker, would be the one to evaluate the students based on this scale. And it includes, as I said, storytelling and all kinds of other areas. When it comes to protocol, it's not just about how many chants and prayers you know. It's also about how often do you do them. Because if I say, oh, I know 100 chants, well, when did you do the last chant? 3 years ago at my father's wedding or whatever. You know, that's not going to work. It really has to be practice and praxis. So the idea is, how many prayers do you know, as far as like the Lord's Prayer, the prayer for food, you know, all those kind of things. But how often do you do those? You know, do you pray every day for your food? Well, then you might as well do it in Samoan, because that's how you're going to learn. And so this has really been a pleasure and an honor for me to be here today and share with you folks about the things that we've been doing in as Kua Kanaka and within the Hawaiian language movement. We feel very happy that our language did not die, but we also know that we have a long ways to go for it to become again the preferred medium of communication among our people. And so we hope that we can all work together, because as I said, we can learn from many sources, and I feel very strongly that we can learn from you folks, and we can share what we have learned, some of it the hard way, and some of the things, our mistakes sometimes can be the most helpful to other people so they don't make those same mistakes. But I really, really want to thank both Elisabetta and everybody else who worked so hard to make this wonderful conference possible. I want to thank all you folks, the Makua, the Kupuna. I want to thank the leaders of this land and your land. I want to thank our ancestors, and I want to thank our Creator, who really guides us every single day and helps us to find our way in this sometimes very confusing and very unclear environment. And so thank you, mahalo nui, fa'awhitai lava.